Tom. I hope this video is recording, but you can see how the quality is in Zoom. So I use also my phone to record this video for you. I'm very sorry, but we have a terrible Wi-Fi connection here, and I had to come to the hub. We call this place a hub where you can charge your laptop and your phone. But again, internet is very bad, so the Zoom quality is also terrible. And I'm also sorry for all of the inconvenience in my late responses. But for the last 3 years in Ukraine, we have terrible power outages across all of the cities, just because Russia strike a lot of Ukrainian power grid and critical infrastructure. And yes, the life is a little bit complicated, but I'm not complaining. I'm really happy to be here and talk about Ukraine and talk about my journey. So yes, and I have your questions here. So let's start. And you ask me, what do you think made my Camino journey special as my country is in war? You know, I think when I first came across the video of the Way of St. James, I decided that one day I'm gonna go on this trip just for the thrill of it, just for the adventure, to learn a religious part of this journey and to distract myself from some problems that now seems very insignificant, to be honest. And 4 years later, when I finally decided to walk, all of my goals and all of my perspective had changed, completely had changed. And the first problem I faced was the feeling of constant guilt that was very difficult to overcome. And you know, when I met people from Ukraine and asked them, did you feel the same? Did you feel a lot of guilt while walking the Camino? And they told me, yes, this is what we felt for these 2 weeks. And I don't know how people from other countries, do they experience the same or no? But for me, it was always this guilt, because I left Ukraine, but the war doesn't leave you. And I remember how every morning I woke up and I checked the news. I spent at least 1 hour on my phone. I texted my mom, I texted my friends, and I do love my mom, but you know, even here, I don't speak to her as much as I did on the Camino, because I worried about everyone, especially when you read the news that a terrible missile attack happened in my city and my mom is not answering me. I was just going insane. And I think all of the people who walk Camino, they tell you that you need to put your phone away just to immerse yourself into this journey, into the nature. You need to enjoy the life without all your devices and internet. But for me, it was just impossible. And I had 2 phones, I had 2 power banks just in case. And I found it difficult to explain people why I need it. And I didn't want to start this conversation because war is a very sensitive topic, and I guess people don't want to talk about on the Camino. So yes, this constant guilt that you're in a safe place, that you're surrounded by this beautiful nature, by the ocean, by good people. You're in a safe place, and your friend is living in Ukraine right now. Yes, so that was really difficult to overcome. And sometimes when you don't have anyone to talk about this, you feel a little bit lonely. And I didn't meet anyone from Ukraine. So yeah, sometimes I felt like I have no one to share my emotions with. But you know, I tried not to overthink it. And I was like, okay, today I texted my mom, I texted my friend. I know that everything is okay. I can continue my journey. And I try to distract myself from these thoughts, because it's just impossible to live and think about this all the time. And also like the feeling of guilt and the feeling of anxiety. And I think that there are always 3 of you on the Camino. This is you, this is the feeling of guilt, and this is the anxiety. But somehow alongside these feelings comes a feeling of serenity, peace, and just happiness. It was magical because it was the first time when I felt happiness since the full-scale invasion, and it happened on the Camino. I couldn't believe that, honestly. So I am so grateful for this experience. that I could, because I thought that I lost all of these emotions, I lost all of those feelings, but then I was like, no, no, you still have them, you still have them. You just needed the Camino. Yes, and another thing that I was worried about was how to speak about politics with people. I think I wouldn't even consider this as a problem if I walked Camino 4 years ago, but I have so many thoughts. Like, what if I meet someone from Russia, or what if I meet someone who support the war in Ukraine if the politics comes up? And I had so many scenarios in my head how to politely say goodbye to people, because I wasn't there to fight. I wasn't there to prove my point, and I didn't want that bad energy. So I was like, I really was worried about that. But I don't know, luckily, I've met only great people who support Ukraine, who follow the news, who know that the war is not over. And I met you, Tom, the last day, and it just made my journey. It was the best experience, really. And I think the next time when I go on the Camino, I wouldn't think about this so often. I think that only good people walk the Camino. I hope so. I really do. Also, of course, the war had taken a tremendous toll on our mental health. And this time I wanted to go on this adventure just to live a little bit in a different reality and in a safe place where when your mind doesn't constantly remind you that you're in danger. I finally felt that I was living in a safe place where I don't need to jump at the loud sounds. Of course, I was afraid when I heard something very loud or when I saw like a civil airplanes. But you know that these sounds, they won't kill you, or they won't kill your family. And I also realized how much stress and how much tense my body holds. Like, of course, you get tired, you get exhausted when you walk on the Camino because you walk for 35, 40 kilometers each day. But this is it's just another feeling. And your mind is always preoccupied with different questions like when the rain stop, will my clothes dry by tomorrow? Where can I find the closest shop to buy food or water? So this question just helped me not to lose my mind and to cope with anxiety a lot. Um, and yes, I for these 2 weeks, I lived in a different reality where I could find peace, inner peace, and just felt safe. I really need it, and I hope that more people from Ukraine can join me the next year. Maybe my mom or my friends can join me on the Camino just to feel the same. I want them to feel what I experience. Yes, and also Camino became the way how people collect money for donations. I know a lot of people who, my friends, for example, from my city, they went on the Camino and they show their journey online on social medias. They documented every day, and they also helped future pilgrims. They gave some advice to them, and in return, they opened the donation jar. We call it a jar. You can click the link, and you can put some money in this jar, and later those money go to different foundations, charity foundations, and this organization, they help people from the affected territories of Ukraine. So this is the just amazing idea, and I hope that the next year, I can do the same. Yes. And for the next year, I also have a plan to walk Camino Podolica in Ukraine, just to compare these two experiences. What is the difference between hiking for 2 weeks in Ukraine and in Spain, for example? So yes. So the next question was it difficult for me to come back home after Camino? I think it was more difficult to allow myself to go on this trip and to get used to the normalcy of life in Europe. Because, as I said before, you can leave Ukraine, but the war doesn't leave you. And at the end, or just even during my journey, I felt so sad because um, the normalcy of life I feel here in Ukraine, in my city, Zaporizhia, is just an illusion because we get used to the war. We get used how we get used to all of the situation. We learn how to live with that, how to function, how to survive. But there is no normalcy in that at all. The normal life was in Europe, was on this Camino. I saw how people live. I saw how people should live. Yes, where Russia hasn't reached yet. This is the life, and I felt so sad for my people in Ukraine who can't experience the same. And I remember the last day when I was in Santiago, I was sitting in the park somewhere on the hill, and I was watching pilgrims approaching the cathedral, and I talked to my friend on the phone, and it just made me so emotional because I know that my best friend also wants to go on Camino. She also wants to experience those things, but her dad is in the army, and she decided not to leave Ukraine until the war is over. I have a friend who lives in the occupied territory, and before, like 3 years ago, she was a travel junkie. She loved to travel. She wanted to go on Camino in Portugal and Spain, but right now all of her life had changed, and she lost almost everything. And of course, I don't know if she can go on the Camino ever again. And some of my friends are in the army, and they can't leave the country as well. And at that moment, I felt very sad, and at the same time, I think it's very important to remind ourselves how privileged and lucky we are if we have the opportunity to do something, to travel, to reach our dreams. And I think that a lot of time we just forget that, and we need to stop and just cherish that. And despite all of that, I came back home very motivated, very enthused to talk about this experience with my friends, with my family, because when you live here, when you don't leave Ukraine, you think that all of the people they already forgot that there is a war in Ukraine. Yes, and when I came back, I was like, no, this is not true. This is not true. Everyone knows, everyone supports, not maybe everyone, but everyone I've met on the Camino, they still know that there is war in Ukraine. They follow the news and they support us. So I was like, you should go if you have a chance, if you have the opportunity to experience that, you need to embark on the Camino. You need to start your journey next year. Please go. And I also created a sketchbook with all of the photos, all of the stories from these 2 weeks, and I was showing to my friends because I was very crazy. I guess I talked about the Camino like for a month or for 2 months, and one day I was at home, and I got the message from my friend in WhatsApp, and she sent me the photo from Portugal, from Porto, and she asked me, guess where I am, and I was like, are you in Portugal? Are you doing the Camino? Because I talked a lot about it with her, and she's 35 years old. She has a baby, but she decided to give it a try, and she walked the Camino with her baby for the 2 weeks. That's crazy. So I was very glad that I could motivate someone to do that. Yes, and as I said before, maybe the next year I'm gonna go with my mom, maybe. Yes, and also you asked me. What do I want Americans to know about me in Ukraine, and just I think in Ukraine, about Ukraine in general? I think I would like people not to think that people from the southern and eastern part of Ukraine live in a survival mode all the time, that we don't find joy anymore. It's not true. It's not true. All of my friends, all of my family, we remain very optimistic. Of course, the future is bleak. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but you don't need to give up. And for me, the volunteering is what makes me makes me wake up every morning and help me to cope with my anxiety a lot. Right now, I work as a translator for the news for one of the Ukrainian organization, and we need to admit, unfortunately, that we lose the information war against Russia. And we need to create a lot of content in English for the Western audience to debunk all of the propaganda that Russia creates. And all of my friends, they all connected to different charity organization. Some friends directly involved in the army, and people. People is just the greatest source of motivation for me. And I remember how I met one man from the United States on the Camino. His name is Mike. He's just the greatest guy. He loves Ukraine. He loves Ukraine. He supports us. And he asked me, why don't I leave to another country? Why don't I move to a safe place? And also a lot of people ask me this question. And I just wanted to say that we stay here because we can feel that you can feel this atmosphere, this powerful atmosphere of the volunteering movement, if only you live here, if you stay at home. And I guess when your country is in war, when the country needs you, you don't need to run, you don't need to flee. If you can, you need to stay here and you need to help. Every time when I leave Ukraine, I feel useless. And I guess it's I trust myself to stay here, even if I live in a basement with no electricity or even under shelling. It's better to be here with my family, with my friends, with like-minded people, than go somewhere safe in a safe place where people think that the war has ended a long time ago in Ukraine. So this volunteering movement is so powerful, and I'm so grateful to know these people who are compassionate and who are ready to help, and who don't give up and just move and forget that there is war exists. And also the last year I was a part of the volunteering organization called Brave to Rebuild. And we went to Kyiv region to cities like Bucha and Irpin. And I met folks from different countries like Australia, United Kingdom, the USA. And those people have their life at home, but they decided to come to Ukraine and help us. So it just made me think that if those people I came here, if they're not afraid, why should I leave, right? So for the next year, I also plan to join this organization and go to my region to help people who need to rebuild their houses, who were destroyed by the Russian army. And if I find some photos or videos from that month, I will send to you, because the atmosphere was there just great. We listened to Ukrainian music, we laughed a lot, and it was a sense of the community, of people who don't care, who do something. Because if not you, who's gonna do that? Who's gonna change something? So yes, again, people and the whole atmosphere of the unity is great. So I could see that I had some internet connection problem, and I had to stop the video and press record again. I hope now it's working. I'm so sorry. Today we have 2 hours of Wi-Fi connection, and usually we have 3 or 4. Yes, but still I'm not complaining, and I think that the next week we're gonna have like a better situation, because for the last 3 days we didn't have any missile attack on our power grid. So hopefully the situation will improve. So as I said before, I really love this. I really love our volunteering movement, and I love our people, and they make me stay here. They make me do everything that I can, and I love being a little part of this movement and just help people who really need that. Yes, and also here we are so grateful to all of the support that we get. It's very important to feel that there are still people who stand with Ukraine, who donate their time or money to help us. So thank you again, and thank you, Tom, for giving me this chance to talk a little bit about Ukraine and about my Camino. And I hope that the next year the new Camino will happen to me, and I hope to meet only good people there. And yes, thank you again, and buen camino, and bye.